SI Sooners. Coach, first couple days of practice. Simple as that. Simple question. Tell us about your progress, guys who've stood out, how guys are picking up the system. What is your first reaction from the 2 weeks of practice?
Yeah. So we're practice 3 or 4 now. It's been fun, man. It's been a new team. You know, Reggie Grimes was our guys are trying to build leadership, trying to get guys asking questions and challenging older guys to talk and lead, and he was talking to the group one particular point of the day and just remind them, man, have fun. You know, it's stressful, it's demanding, it's this high level of accountability, John, but man, just have fun, guys. That's why we're playing this game. So that's what I would say. The first thing I would say is fun. You know, and just, I've mentioned this before here in the past couple of weeks, but there does seem to be a new sense of optimism and hope and excitement. And from our perspective, you know, we don't talk about somebody who ain't here. And so I just stay out of that. But, man, I just try to bring intensity and details and accountability every day. And so I walked in as Coach V was finishing up and just talking about, man, we're in the land, the foundation. And so we're being highly critical and highly demanding, and we're not stopping loving our guys. But, man, this is the most important time of laying the foundation for who we're going to be in the season. And so I would say very competitive. I would say high intensity, and I would say really fun. And everybody's been having highs and lows. You know, it's the first 4 days of spring ball. You'll have guys make some days guys are making plays, other days other guys are making plays. And so it's, my goal is to raise the floor of the position group, and then as a DN's coach, when you have 2 positions, you really want to have, obviously, sounds kind of obvious, but as much depth as you can, John. And you really would love to have a top 5 group. You know, so I got 9 guys. Everybody's going to play. We don't give anything away. This isn't 3rd grade flag football. You earn what you get, but if you earn it, you're going to play. And so if you earn 20% of the snaps, you're going to play 20% of the time. And that's where we're in right now, trying to create competition, trying to raise the floor, raise the level of accountability and details.
Thanks. Right side, Ryan Aber, the Oklahoma.
Yeah, Miguel, I wanted to ask you about one of your guys specifically, Jonah. How have you seen him fit in with this group? How much progress has he made? And you know, what are some of the biggest things that you want to see out of him?
Yeah, no, he's been a blessing, man. He's a big guy that can really move. You know, I think some people were surprised that he's an end. He's 270, man. He's 268. Yeah, watch him run, watch him move. He's a big dancing bear out there, and he's smooth. When I watched the tape and recruited him and eval'd him when he was at Hawaii, and we love his mom, Miss Palolo, and his girlfriend, Catherine. But when I watched him, I was like, this guy's unbelievable. I knew that he could move. I didn't know how big he was because of how fluid his hips are, the plays he made. I mean, he's played 4 years of football, and he still has two left. So, you know, there's a silver lining to everything. But he's fit in perfectly. He's exactly where he's supposed to be. And it's been God's kindness from the very beginning where it was a perfect fit. And he fits into who we are, and we fit him. But he's doing well, and throwing him right in there. And it's a special, unique thing in college football is, in all college sports, because once you get to the NFL and all the professional leagues, you're on a first-name basis with your position coach. The coach doesn't even get to choose his players, and you're in there, and then you're out of there. You don't know who you're going to be drinking coffee with the next day. Well, college is different, right? You're getting a degree there. You're building rapport there. You build deep bonding relationships. You're going to be the best man at each other's wedding. And so what's unique about college athletics, I think, is that you are trying to do 2 things simultaneously. You're trying to be the very, very best version of yourself and root for your brother next to you. And I've been really, really proud of the DNs who've been here welcoming Jonah in. And so he's doing great. He's doing good.
Appreciate it. Come to this side. Eli Letterman, Tulsa World.
You spent 5 years working with Brent, the coordinator. What's it been like watching him settle into the job as a head coach and take it over?
I mean, I've said this before. It's a great question. I knew that he'd be a good head coach, but I told him, I said, man, I didn't know you'd be this good. Straight up. I said, man, I knew you'd be good because you're Brent Venables. Everything you do it with intensity and excellence. And we're just watching him, man. He's unbelievable. Just his ability to have a pulse to know the pulse of the team. He's done a great job, great staff. He had a great, recruiting class, right, coming in here, getting the right guys in, adding support staff. But just, he knows when to press. He knows when to give grace. It's been fun. It's been fun watching him. But yeah, he didn't stop being demanding just because he's the head coach. You know what I mean? And he's in defensive meetings, whether he's in team meetings, whether he's talking to the offense or the specialists. Part of what he's doing is exactly what I thought he'd do. But it's like he's been doing it for 20 years. I guess as a coordinator, you kind of become the head coach of your side of the ball. And so he was preparing as well, but he's doing great.
Is there mentioned better than even you thought? What in particular surprised you?
I mean, just how flawless it is, man. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know about you, but do you remember walking for the first time? No, yeah, me either. It probably looked like crap. You know what I mean? Or riding a bike. Do you remember riding a bike?
Yeah, it wasn't pretty.
Yeah, and a lot of times when we have our first, whether they're big or small, there's a learning curve. You know what I mean? But as I've just watched him, I work for him. He's my friend and he's a mentor. But I was just an observer of him and his leadership. It's unbelievable. I mean, I'm thankful he's our head coach.
Right side, Bob Brisbane, Sooner Scoop.
Miguel,
Hey,
what's
Bob.
it been like for you personally now, getting to call the shots of your own room and running your first few practices?
Yeah, I yell a lot more. I'm a lot more tired. But it's been very fulfilling, man. It's funny. I was telling Woody, class, even coming in here, I said I feel like I'm still in practice mode. You know what I mean? Had get on practice like 15, 20 minutes ago, so I'm still like thinking about all the plays in my head and all the drills and things we got to improve on. But just a higher level of accountability and ownership. But it's been fun, and just so thankful every day, every minute to be an Oklahoma Sooner. And a great sense of pride, and to coach these guys, but a great sense of responsibility as well. That's my name is on those guys. And so we talk about all the time. Coach Fee says all the time, your efforts play is a reflection of the position coach. Period. And so it's just like our children. For those of us who have kids in here, sometimes they live and act. Not in light of our teaching or our mentoring, but despite it, right? But I think as a position coach, and once again, I don't know what I don't know. So maybe this is arrogant, maybe this is just naive. I think you're supposed to have a high sense of accountability and responsibility. And if you do that and take ownership in your guys and their play and their effort and playing the right way, you know what I mean? Running on and off the field, and the ball's thrown, run to the ball, and being violent on all my techniques, and encouraging the other players. If you do that, I think you raise the standard for everybody. And so it's been very fulfilling, but a higher level of ownership. Great question.
Okay, middle, James Hale.
Hey, Miguel. Watching you guys, that's been a lot of fun, especially you and Todd, because you guys, the attention to detail, some of us have never played those positions or anything. Some of us, a lot of people watch the ball, just hand placement on stance, and how you fire off. Talk about that a little bit. I mean, there seems to be a lot more to play in your position than you guys drill.
Yeah. So, my wife and I, we were watching tape at the house the other night, and we were actually talking about special teams, and I was telling her, I was like, I'm helping out with special teams and coaching one of the sides of the ball on a certain team, and she goes, "What do you mean?" I go, well, they're special teams, so people have to go, but people don't just run out there and just go hit people. And I said, no, that's not what they do, and especially defensive line. You know what I mean? I think the defensive linemen and the corner, everything happens right here. You don't have time to think about what's going on Pluto. You know what I mean? Like whatever the stratosphere of, I don't know about Pluto. I got to deal with planet Earth because everything is happening right here, and there's a lot of minute details, and so yeah, I've just been around a lot of great teachers, man. And the game is so technical. One false step, and at every level, your technique has to improve because everybody's faster and more athletic. And so this is the metaphor I give my guys. I say, hey, listen, fellas, you don't go to a barber shop if a barber is off by an inch. Just think about that. He messes up an inch back here. Are you happy? They say, heck no, right? Precision is key. Even an inch matters. And so just doing a good job trying to get the guys to understand the details, understand the why behind it, and to be locked in the details. If we do that, man, you're going to win a lot of games. Great question.
Okay, far right side, Jenny Carlson, the Oklahoma.
Tell me your name.
Jenny Carlson.
Jenny, thank you.
Oklahoma. Good to see you, Miguel.
Nice seeing you.
I want to piggyback a little bit on what Eli was asking about Brent. Seeing him in practice, we obviously don't see him all the time. You guys are out there with a lot of involvement on the defensive side. That's to be expected and probably welcomed, but how has that worked for you all to have his expertise on the defensive side of the ball?
Having Brent Venables talk to you about defense, it's worked great. Jenny, great question, but yeah, I mean, it's probably from the outside, I guess the question would be, you know, how is this dynamic going to work? Even being more explicit with the question. Coach Roof is the defensive coordinator. Brent Venables is the head coach, and he's a defensive genius. And so, man, you do what you're good at. You know what I mean? If the Lord made you a fork, don't try to use it for cereal. You know, be you. And but it's been great. Right? You know, just everybody's got a job. Everybody has to do their job. But he knows a lot of football. I mean, just Jenny, I appreciate the question, but you know, Nick Saban's a defensive guy too. I mean, he's a football guy. You know, and Coach Levy's an offensive guy. He's a football guy. To be a good coordinator, you have to know the other side of the ball. Does that make sense? And so, Coach V, you know, he used to always joke. He said, "Man, one day I'm going to retire and I'm going to be a head coach, offensive coordinator in high school." And so, you know, we want to win a couple of national championships and develop some young men before then. But look out, that might happen. Great question, Jenny.
Let's go to Brandon Drum.
Hey, Miguel.
Hey, Brandon.
Can you talk about Ethan Downs and Reggie Graham? You brought Reggie up when you walked in here and
Yeah.
said how you told everybody to have fun and all that type of stuff. How have those two, considering they're two of the more experienced guys
Yeah.
returning, how have they meshed and both being so young, how have they taken to kind of the leadership role that they're going to have this year?
Yeah. Man, Ethan is just he's a monster, man. He's a local Oklahoman, Weatherford, and he's just a machine. You know, I love everything about Ethan Downs, and he's coachable, he's teachable, he's flexible, and he's tough, and he loves his teammates, man. I don't think there's a guy on this team that loves this team or Oklahoma or his position more than Ethan Downs. Maybe there's somebody that loves him just as much, but not more than Ethan Downs. You know, Ethan Downs is the type of young man, you know, practice is over and somebody maybe ripped off some tape and forgot to pick it up, which is a huge no-no for us here at Oklahoma. All right, nobody cleans up after Oklahoma. It's nobody else's job but ours. And Ethan Downs is, if anybody's going to be the guy to go pick it up, it's going to be Ethan Downs. And just who he is on and off the field. And but he's risen to the challenge, and he's doing great, man. It's unbelievable. Doing great.
Okay, far right side, Ryan Chapman, SI Sooners.
Hey, Miguel, so we've seen your coaching tips on Twitter, those things kind of filter out. How did that come about? Well, what's kind of been the reaction from those guys on the team, recruits? Just
Yeah.
kind of infuse some personality with that.
Yeah, no, I think it's fun. You know what I mean? I don't think Coach V is going to let me go as far as Lane Kiffin. But I try to, you know, I try to have fun and also be respectful at the same time. But I think there's lots of situations. I mean, what's funny about comedy? What's funny about comedy are there's things that we all experience that nobody says. You know, there's a bit that a guy did. His name is he's an Italian guy. He's so good. I feel so bad forgetting his name, but he was talking about like you walk into TJ Maxx, and I love TJ Maxx. All right, so for those of us not used to shopping at Louis Vuitton and Rolls Royce, TJ Maxx guy here. And he was talking about like how like you walk into the pants section and you'll find like a lampshade in the pants, or they're thrown everywhere like a bombs went off. And I was like, man, that's so funny because it's so true. you know. And then I was just thinking about in recruiting, I'm always trying to think about, man, how do we bridge the gap? There's just like dating, right? There is a self that we project. And then usually whenever we either get the ring or get married, that self disappears. And so I'm always constantly trying to think about, number one, how to relate with guys on social media, but then number two, how do we use the space between who we are and who we're projecting to be? How do we close that to have better connections and relationships with those people we're trying to recruit and connect with? And so I just was thinking about coaching tips, and I have a few more I'm saving up, and I'll make my wife read them before I put them out there. So there is a filter.
Okay, we'll go back row, Lee Benson, Channel 9.
Hey, Lee.
Hey, Coach. I want you to think back to the off-season before spring ball and getting to know the guys in your position group.
Yeah.
Is there anybody that, now that you've seen them on the practice field, that your opinion of them has maybe changed, seeing them actually on the field, you know, going through drills and whatnot that maybe you didn't think of before?
Man, that's a great question. You're so sneaky. No, I mean, that's a really good question.
Only good things, right?
Yeah. I mean, once again, I think one of the pleasures of and benefits of being the new guy is that, you know, and just to be honest with you, there's a lot of people that came around and said, do you want to know the 411 on all your guys? And I wanted to know, you know, just health stuff, but I didn't want to know anything else because I didn't want to go into it already having preconceived notions about the guys. I truly wanted them to have a fresh start and not just it be words. And so I wish I could tell you, yes, there's somebody definitely that has quote unquote surprised me, but it's all new information for me. But great question.
Any more questions for Coach Chavis? Thanks, Coach.
Hey, thanks guys. Appreciate you guys. Lee, great question.